I'm Mark Pope, and the Pope Foundation, as you may have heard at lunch, is a sponsor, and I originally was not going to be a panelist. But in order to have a good debate, they decided to add me because I'm a retailer, and I'm speaking for those who do import goods and represent, I think, the consumers as opposed to the manufacturers who primarily export. But I do want to emphasize in this past 6 months on trade and tax policy and the border adjustment tax, it really has been one of the best policy debates with sincere belief, sincere analysis on all sides of it. And we do start from a common point, because one of the reasons we're here is that trade was a major issue both during the general election Republican primary campaign. And there was one candidate in the Republican primary who was a big advocate of free trade. I mean, he said in the debate, plain and simply, I am a free trader. Then he reemphasized another debate, I'm all for free trade. How clear could he be? That candidate was President Donald Trump. A lot of people overlook that. Now, to put it in context, both those quotes, in the first one he says, I'm a free trader, the problem with free trade is you need smart people representing you. And the second quote, I'm all for free trade, but it's got to be fair. When Ford moves its massive plant to Mexico, we get nothing. I want them to stay in Michigan. And that's very similar to some of the comments that Congressman Hudson made at luncheon today. But the core point is, I think it's been long established, and I brought quotes from Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, and David Ricardo on the benefits of free trade, how it mutually benefits everyone. And in fact, one of the first free trade agreements that the United States entered into was the United States Constitution, with the Commerce Clause and free trade between the states. Every time we engage in a transaction within the United States as individuals, we engage free trade with the currency, cash being the means of exchange. Now, I think it's significant, though, because Donald Trump has a business background. He has advisors on various sides of trade issues and on tax policy issues. But when he issued his tax reform guidelines, they were guidelines, it was something I think we can all agree on with center right, and I think even center left, that we do need to simplify our income tax code both at the corporate level and the personal level. It's uncompetitive compared to the rest of the world. And the basic starting point is to lower the marginal rates and then broaden the base. Unfortunately, the House, and so in that's where President Trump is. What he did not include is a key component of the House Republican blueprint plan, new blueprint, which is the border adjustment tax we were just hearing discussed lightly. The border adjustment tax is well intended, but is really a very radical change in the way we do taxes in the United States. We've had the income tax for over 100 years since the adoption of the 16th Amendment. And we've been interpreting, the courts have been interpreting it as since 1918 in Supreme Court cases. And income has always been the net income, the profits you make on a transaction, after you're allowed to deduct the cost of the goods you sell if you're a retailer, or you're a manufacturer, the cost of your raw materials, your components, and even for individuals or in capital, if you buy a piece of land and you buy it for $1,000 and then sell it for $1,200, you don't pay taxes on $1,200. You pay tax on your profit, your gain, your net income, which is $200. The border adjustment tax would radically change that, and that if you are an importer, if you import goods, then you are not allowed to deduct the cost of your goods sold. On the other hand, if you're a manufacturer who exports, you pay no income tax at all. That's a huge shift, and I would argue probably is unconstitutional under the 16th Amendment under court precedents we already have. And the impact on that on retailers is that our taxes will be higher than our profits. So I'll give you a rounded example from my own experience. You can take Walmart. We sell pants and dresses for $10 every day. We sold pants and dresses for $10 in 1986. We still are. There's no inflation in apparel for us, in part because we can source our goods overseas where they can produce it most efficiently. So if I can buy in America, I want to do that. But I primarily want to buy for Americans the best value for them. So a $10 pair of pants, the cost of goods would be about $6. Then you have what you call your operating costs, your overhead, SG&A, sales, general administration, is about $3. So you have $1 in profit, pay 35% corporate tax, then you pay 35 cents, and you have an after-tax about 85 cents. Okay, that's good. But under the border adjustment tax, you're no longer allowed to deduct that $6, the cost of the goods you sold. So you have to pay taxes not on $1 of actual profit, but $7. And $7 times a lower 20% rate the House proposed is $1.40. So we're being asked to pay a $1.40 tax on $1 profit, which means we lose money on every item we sell. We can't do that. We'll go out of business. So that's why it will be a massive tax increase through higher prices on the American consumer. Now, we may hear today, and in the other articles, well, don't worry about it, that the currency is going to revalue, and therefore you value your goods lower. And there are other estimates that, well, you can take on the big picture, the American family, on average, will receive more in tax savings and thousands of dollars per year versus the higher costs from the border adjustment tax. Those are averages, projections. As you believe the foreign currency argument, then you have to go into currency speculation, take your retirement, put in foreign currency speculation. The averages may be meant in good faith, but there's no such thing as the average American family. That's taking the savings for those of higher income, where we have retirees and those on fixed income. But here's what I do know, that when the tax goes into effect, the border adjustment tax will go into effect, that very first day, January 2018, that's when it goes into effect, I no longer be allowed to deduct the cost of the goods I sell, which means I owe higher tax. I have no choice but to immediately pass on that profit. Now, the argument is made, and Bryan made it about well, we're just trying to level the playing field. The playing field's already not level. Well, Speaker Ryan gave an example during a press conference back in February about behind a tape recorder. And his quote is, here's what Japan does when they make this tape recorder. When they send it for export, they take the tax off of it, and it comes back to America, and it's not taxed. It comes through to compete against our good, which was taxed. Theirs was untaxed twice, Ryan said. And it is correct that for domestically, when Japan has a value-added tax, that when you consume a good is made in Japan and consumed in Japan, they assess the they assess the value-added tax. If it's not consumed in Japan, they export to the United States. You're right. There's no value-added tax, but Japan has an income tax. It's 33%. So round figures again. Let's say that tape recorder costs $100, expensive tape recorder. If the Japanese company sells it to an American retailer for $60, they have a $20 profit. Well, they're going to pay 33% Japanese income tax on that. So they got about $6.07 in tax in Japan. The American retailer has it right now. $6. He sells it for $60. He sells it for $100. Has its operating cost, so has a $10 profit on that. So he pays income tax on that $10 in profit, the same as he would pay it on an American manufactured one. And by the way, it's also Washington, D.C. sales tax. So the transactions are taxed very similar. And that goes to the fundamental guideline for income taxes and taxes in the system. They should be what's called revenue. They should be tax neutral. They should not be used as an industrial policy to favor one sector of the economy over another sector of the economy. And that's the way our tax code is now. It's equally bad for everyone. It can be improved and should be improved. But the border adjustment tax will treat an importer who sells imports at a disadvantage, a huge disadvantage of those who do domestic goods. Not to mention that exporters will be exempt from all income taxes. And by the way, Japan does not exempt its manufacturers from their income tax on the export goods, only from the value-added tax that's not consumed there. Which goes to another principle of taxation, the benefits principle. That those who benefit from government services should pay for those services. A Boeing or Caterpillar plant that has employees manufacturing goods that are exported, they're receiving the benefit of American law, American defense, the social protective network for their employees, just as a retailer are. But rather than paying for that, they're going to be totally exempted from taxes, whereas the American retailer in my distribution center, which has employees, receives those benefits, we have to pay more than we even make in money and have to pass that cost on to it. So that's just not right. And I meant sincerely what I said at the beginning about the good debate we're having. But there's an old quote attributed to Senator Russell Long, who was a longtime Democrat chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. And it's a variation of this quote that gives a pretty cynical definition of tax reform. He said tax reform is don't tax me, don't tax thee, tax that man behind the tree. Well, the don't tax me are the American manufacturers that export who will be totally exempted from paying income taxes. But the man behind the tree is the American retailers and our customers, and we're not going to stay behind the tree and be taxed.